right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Chilly change. Why the cool air could cause concerns by Sunday morning in the coldest spots. Plus the late evening update from the Storm Surveys team on tornadoes yesterday.
For the third time since 2015, a historic North City home is hit by a speeding driver. The homeowner sharing her frustrations with 5 on Your Side.
Nothing's being done. They're constant. They drive through here as though this is what they do.
How the city is responding tonight. But first, could the city's crime problem have a new solution? St. Louis police are now considering extending officers' work days.
Certainly, we're looking at every possibility.
The proposal comes as St. Louis is dealing with a major officer shortage. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson. St. Louis police are considering whether to have officers work 11-hour days instead of 8-hour days. 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon is live downtown with what he's learning, Brent.
Well, Kelly, we got our hands on internal memos that show conversations about this topic were set to happen this week at the police headquarters. Those who are for it say it will put more officers on the street. Others say it could lead to burnout. 5 on Your Side has learned St. Louis police are considering different options. One includes 4 days on and 4 days off. Another involves officers rotating the weekends they work. There's also a proposal to allow officers to work 6 days in a row, with 2 days off initially, then 3 days off in between. All of them would mean 11-hour workdays.
Anything that we can do to try to ensure that we have the right number of officers on the street that are able to respond to calls in a timely manner and provide the service that the citizens expect and deserve.
We took the idea to SLU criminal justice instructor Kenya Brumfield Young.
While it can enhance coverage, there's less commuting, there's extended presence within the community.
She also points to the possibility of fatigue, especially with a department that's down more than 300 officers.
Which could affect an officer's decision making, reaction times, or just their overall health.
I think that they believe that raising the amount of hours is a good idea. I just think it'll be too much on the officers that are there.
Former St. Louis cop Pierre Cochran worked with the department for 3 years before resigning to go into sales. He's in touch with his former colleagues.
The few that I did speak to, none of them really liked the idea of the 11-hour shifts. The fatigue, like just thinking about how much harder they would have to work. 8-hour shifts were already, typically 10, 11 hours as is with that setup, with that structure. So going to 11 hours, what are we looking at? 15 hours, 16 hours.
St. Louis County Police, not to be confused with the city. County Police, they've been working 12-hour shifts for more than a year now. For that to happen, or for the 11 hours to happen here in the city, it would require changes from the Board of Aldermen because it would involve changes in the pay structure. So officials at the police department says none of this will happen overnight. We'll keep you posted. Live downtown, Brent Solomon, 5 on Your Side.
New tonight, the Missouri Highway Patrol is investigating a deadly car and motorcycle crash in Jefferson County. Happened around 7 near the intersection of Highway H and 21 in DeSoto. Highway Patrol says 1 person died. They're investigating what caused it. Tonight, a young boy is in the hospital after they were shot in North St. Louis County. Just before 6, county police responded to the shooting on Green Valley Drive. The 4-year-old was shot in the leg. He has minor injuries. The investigation is ongoing. A St. Louis woman says for years, speeding drivers have slammed into her historic property in North City. And now she's had enough. Tonight, she contacted 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend, who took her concerns to City Hall.
For more than 50 years, Catherine Goins has enjoyed living in this 148-year-old historic home in the College Hill neighborhood in North St. Louis. She and her late husband, Benjamin, the first African-American sheriff in St. Louis, raised their 4 children here.
This house has features that are not in many homes. I have an organ, 1,700 pipes imported from Germany. All the first floor windows in the transom are imported from Germany. I love being over here.
But an ongoing problem has disturbed her peace.
Nothing's being done.
Goins says since 2015, drivers have sped down East College Avenue near Condi during 3 different incidents and crashed into her wrought iron gate.
And torn up by kids. Stolen SUV ran.
And the brick wall that surround her home. She told police last month 4 young men and a woman plowed into her brick wall, jumped out of a car, and took off.
All had guns, all had masks on.
Her daughter lives across the street.
I'm fed up, as well as my mom.
For several years now, this speed hump has been right here, just down the street from Catherine Goins' home. Yet she tells me drivers continue to speed down this street.
Near the area that house is actually one of our 10 most deadliest intersections.
Officials hope a recently passed bill aimed at bringing red light cameras to city streets will also help put the brakes on reckless driving near Goins' home.
We're using data to look at the areas that need that type of enforcement, and this absolutely could be an area where something like that gets set up.
My prayer is always peace, people being safe.
Robert Townsend, 5 Your Side.
Goins says she would also like to see police crack down on speeding drivers in her neighborhood. Well, storms spread out across the region yesterday. I want to show you just some of the damage. Wind gusts up to 100 miles an hour ripped roofs off of barns and property at Brookdale Farms in Eureka. And there was also storm damage in the Metro East. Here is a look at what heavy winds did to a grandstand at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And here is video taken by a viewer who saw a tornado touchdown in Greene County, Illinois, just one of more than a half dozen in the region. Well, it's 24 hours later and a calm night, thankfully, across the bi-state. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is here with our weather first forecast.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been playing baseball over at Busch Stadium last night with those storms. 9 confirmed tornadoes. That is the final tally that we have. 2 of them were because of spotters and video of the tornadoes on the ground, like you just saw that one up in Greene County. There wasn't any damage that the National Weather Service folks can find. They went up there, looked around, went everywhere that the spotters said there could have been damage, couldn't find anything. So it gets a rating of EFU, which is unknown intensity. But all of them were quick spin ups lasting 10 minutes or less. There's that picture, another one from Tracy up in Greenfield. With, you see something like this, that's picturesque, but you don't want to see that in your backyard for sure. Things have settled down across the region. We are dropping back into the 50s tonight. We'll have some clouds coming and going at times right on through the weekend. But at this point, things have settled such that we're going to be pretty quiet right through the weekend, just dealing with cooler temperatures, about 10 degrees below average. Kelly, we may be talking about a little bit of frost as we head towards Sunday morning in some of the outlying areas. More on that in a few minutes.
Everyone is enjoying the night tonight at Busch Stadium as the Cardinals begin a 6-game home stretch, bringing tens of thousands of fans to downtown St. Louis. And this week, talks about future renovations at Busch Stadium are making headlines. Andy Kroll is live outside the stadium with reaction from fans.
Kelly, things really heating up right now at Busch Stadium. No weather, pun intended. Tied up 1-1 in the bottom of the 9th. And of course, now we're into extra innings. Corey Miller will have more for you in sports later on in the show. But I want to talk about a recent report that the team has discussed a little bit, because it says there may be some potential public funding when it comes to any of those possible renovations. And the Cardinals president, Bill DeWitt III, saying an idea of public funding is just too premature at this moment. And one of the biggest things that I kept hearing after all of this is that, of course, it was one of the smallest crowds in stadium history just last week.
Redbirds and Red Hots on a Friday night. Karen Boschert has been selling hot dogs in St. Louis for 26 years. So when you want to look at attendance numbers at Busch Stadium, you may want to count your dogs.
It's slow. It's not what it usually is. The weather, the last time we had the eclipse, that hurt us a little bit that night. When the Blues, I think they're done now, but that affects us. It all affects us when they have soccer and Battlehawks, because everybody has season tickets for a lot of the places.
Karen lost about $40,000 last year, her worst Cardinals season ever. So she's happy to see fans pouring back in. The Cardinals told us they had advanced sales of over 37,000 tickets for Friday's game. pointing to being ranked 5th in the league for average home game attendance this season, only trailing big markets like the Dodgers and Yankees. One fan from St. Charles has been coming every other week.
Attendance has been fantastic every game that I've been at so far, so I can't speak for the other ones, but every game I've been at, it's been great.
So great, fans aren't sure why there have been conversations about the Cardinals potentially doing renovations sometime over the next few years. A consideration as Busch Stadium approaches its 20th anniversary in 2026.
I mean, I don't have much experience with other stadiums, but we've never had an issue here of anything. Getting in and out is easy. Everything you need is kind of right there.
Some fans online have said fixing aging infrastructure or new amenities may come in part from public funding.
And the thing to remember here is that the Cardinals will not be making any further comment right now about a hypothetical public funding, but our partners at the St. Louis Business Journal sat down and spoke with the Cardinals president, and he said in part, and I quote, "Why would I be out asking for public money when I don't even know what I'm asking for?" Reporting live at Busch Stadium, Annie Krall, 5 on your side.
A jury is now in place in the trial of a man accused of killing a St. Louis police officer. Police say Thomas Kinworthy fatally shot Officer Tamaris Bohannon and wounded another in August of 2020. The case has been delayed several times since then. Kinworthy pleaded not guilty by reason of mental defect and followed months of mental evaluations. When the case made it to court in January, the lead prosecutor got sick, postponing the trial until now. It's expected to last about 2 weeks. Opening statement set to begin Monday in Donald Trump's hush money case. The last-ditch effort by the former president's lawyers to halt the trial. Slashing your premiums, car insurance rates are at all-time highs. Tonight, Consumer Report shares 5 ways you can save money.
Well, you'll definitely save on the AC bill this weekend. Problem is, with this cool air coming in, some of us may have to turn on the furnace. We may also have to deal with a touch of frost early Sunday.
A full jury is now seated in the criminal trial of former President Trump. The trial centers around an alleged sex scandal cover-up that took place days ahead of the 2016 election. Prosecutors accused the former president of lying about paying an adult film star to keep quiet about an alleged affair they were having. Opening statements begin Monday. A last-minute change of venue motion by Trump's attorney attempted to move the trial to Staten Island, but that was rejected. Trump says he will testify in his own defense. And just outside the courthouse, a man set himself on fire. Police say he's in the hospital, severely hurt. Investigators don't know his exact reason behind it, but the man was carrying a government conspiracy sign before the incident. Well, chances are you are paying more for car insurance these days, on average 18% more. Even as inflation cools, car insurance prices remain high because of more crashes, increased litigation, and higher repair costs. The good news, though, there are ways to save. Consumer Reports reveals 5 ways to get your premiums as low as possible.
No one wants to pay more than they have to, especially for something necessary but not all that fun. We're talking about car insurance. So let's kick it into high gear. Here are 5 ways to slash your premium. Number 5, increase your deductible. Now might be the time if you haven't raised your deductible recently. Consider a $1,000 deductible to save on your annual premium. Remember, you're increasing your potential out-of-pocket repair costs after a crash, so make sure you have access to the money just in case, or use the savings to build an emergency fund. Number 4, it might be time to drop collision and comprehensive insurance. As your car's years and miles pile up, its value decreases. That lowered value might not justify the expense of paying for collision and comprehensive coverage.
As a general rule, when the premium is more than 10% of the car's value, it's time to consider dropping collision and maybe comprehensive coverage too.
Number 3, take a defensive driving course. Some insurance companies let you take a safe driving course to get a discount. It only takes a few hours, and it tends to cost around $25. The savings can add up, and you might even be able to take the course online. Number 2, shop around, then bundle. You may be able to save hundreds a year by combining your home and auto policies. Finally, sign up for driver monitoring. You can save up to $800 with some insurance companies if you allow them to track your driving habits with a smartphone app or a device that plugs into your car's diagnostic port, so long as you prove to be a safe driver. There are some trade-offs. Remember, you're giving up some privacy in much the same way you do when using certain smartphone apps in exchange for a potential discount.
And if you drive under 10,000 miles a year, this one's for you. Most insurance companies factor in annual mileage in their pricing. You could save about $100 if you're not making the mark. A 5 on Your Side viewer from Manchester sent us this picture of, guess what? A cicada in her garden. We have been talking a lot about the upcoming brood awakening this summer, but it looks like this little fella came a little early. Missouri's Department of Conservation says they are due in May.
Yeah, I think.
What do you think about that, Scott?
You know, the ground temperature when it gets, I think it was Tracy said in her story, it was 64 degrees at 8 inches deep. And I just looked up in Moscow Mills where they have a weather station with an 8-inch soil temperature, and it's 63.6. So we're almost at that 64 degree mark. You know, if we'd had a warm day today and a warm weekend like the last couple of days, not only would we be dealing with severe weather, but the cicadas would all.
But a lot of cicadas.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of them out. And they're coming next week, I think. Next, they're going to be here early. They're going to be here before May, that's for sure. So our tornado tracks, Thursday evening tornadoes, we come up with 9 total here. So just kind of giving you where the storm survey teams, all these marks you see, that's where the tornadoes were or wind damage was reported. Tornado track down here in northern Jefferson County. That's the one at Brookdale Farms. There was another one over around Cahokia. That was a small track, went just south of the Aldi store there. You had some wind damage at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Not at all tornado there. That was just straight line winds, but that was a tornado just off Horseshoe Lake. You have one just south of Marine, one north of Marine. You had the other one up towards Holiday Shores. We had another one. We had a couple here that were in northeastern Jersey up into Greene and parts of Macoupin County. The Weather Service went out and looked, documented, these were documented, video spotters confirming that they were on the ground. You could see, I mean, you saw the pictures earlier, but they didn't create any damage. So no damage reports from those, but confirmed tornadoes. And then we had the other one just off to the south of Standard City. Now we're concerned about what you might have in the garden that might be susceptible to some cool temperatures. The next couple of mornings are going to be pretty chilly. Right now it's pretty quiet. We're partly cloudy. We have temperatures that are around that 60-degree mark. We're in the 50s in town after being in the low 60s. There are some clouds coming in from the west. That'll tend to keep us from getting too cool overnight tonight. 54 in St. Louis, 53 back in Columbia. Our current temperature right now coming in officially 54 with a dew point of 35, 62 our top temperature today. Tonight we're dropping back into the 40s. Tomorrow, we're going to see a pretty decent day in St. Louis. Temperatures back to around 60, but tomorrow night into early on Sunday morning, and then again early on Monday morning, there's a chance there could be some frost in some of the normally colder spots. Most likely this is not going to impact the metro area, but if you're in a normally colder spot, well, you'll probably be down into the mid-30s for early on Sunday morning, early on Monday morning. Passover begins on Monday at sundown, lasting next week.
All right, thank you, Scott. Corey is on deck with sports.
On deck is right. It was a dramatic night over at Busch Stadium and a whale of a day for Missouri Tiger fans. We'll talk it all over coming up next in sports.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
The NL Central is not the NL East or the NL West. There's no juggernaut of the Braves or Dodgers to dethrone. It's up for grabs. The Cards got their first test in the division tonight against Milwaukee, and it was a dramatic one at Busch Stadium. Nice moment of silence before tonight's contest, honoring the late Whitey Herzog, who we lost earlier this week. First, Contreras is going to start the scoring, but it's the wrong Contreras. Wilson's brother William gets the Brewers on the board, 1-0. Kyle Gibson did pitch well tonight, 6 innings, just 1 run allowed. Here's the big moment. Sixth inning, bases loaded, Busch rocking, Nolan Gorman strikes out, thread over. Mason Wynn going to get a defensive highlight late. Just makes it look so easy out there at shortstop. Down 1-0 in the 9th. Cards rally thanks to a walk, an Alec Burleson hit, and a hit by pitch. Bases loaded, and the Brewers are going to walk in the tying run. We go to extra innings. And the Brewers are going to get that automatic runner across the plate in the 10th, again thanks to William Contreras. That would do it. Milwaukee wins 2-1. If you could buy stock in athletic programs, I am loading up on Mizzou right now. And no, it's not just because my degree says University of Missouri on it. There are some exciting things going on in Columbia. Today, Eli Drinkwitz got a commit from 4-star Althoff lineman Jason Dowell. Dowell's also a state champion on the wrestling mat and is currently hitting over 400 for the Crusader baseball team. I featured Dowell last football season, and he told me when it came to picking a college, he knew he wanted a place that could help take him to the next level.
Recruiting, sometimes it's overwhelming, but at the end of the day, it's a blessing. I enjoy every moment of it. Further my education, to further me just be able to grow as a young man, and also just to me, I don't know how other high school players are, but I plan on going to the NFL, not just staying in college.
It wasn't just football today, though. Dennis Gates reeled in another impressive transfer for Mizzou basketball. 6'7" forward Mark Mitchell is leaving Duke for Missouri. Mitchell averaged 11.5 points and 6 rebounds in his sophomore season for the Blue Devils. He's a Kansas City area native and former 5-star recruit. I'm thinking eggs and bacon will be on the tailgating menu for Battlehawks fans tomorrow. It's an 11:30 a.m. kickoff against Memphis at the Dome, where St. Louis will be hoping for a bit of a less dramatic finish than normal. Yes, things have been pretty good as of late. The Battlehawks have won 2 games in a row and sit at the top of the XFL conference of the UFL. In fact, they're a 64-yard field goal at the buzzer away from being undefeated. But although the wins are coming, Coach Beck knows there are still some things to clean up, and perhaps this team could be a bit less dramatic at the end of games.
We play well across the board. I just think we leave a lot out there. I think we can be better. I think, games don't have to be as close if we don't want to. But, we understand that, it's a very competitive league, and a lot of these teams have a lot of good players. We don't get a lot of opportunities. We can never rest or lean back or feel like we're in a good spot, because as we found out last year, when you have a successful 7-win season, win 70% of your games, it doesn't get you anything.
With an 11:30 a.m. kickoff, there are going to be some hardy folks out at around 7 a.m.
11:30.
They're going to be out by like 7 a.m. tomorrow, I think, to get the most out of it.
We have some diehard fans
They are
with the
diehards.
Battlehawks. All right, thanks, Corey. Coming up in a few minutes, empty weekend calendar. We've got you covered for plenty of things to do in Laloo, where you can celebrate 420 and the place to take the Swiftie and your family for an enchanted ride. Are you looking for things to do this weekend? Here are a few things happening around town. Tomorrow's 420, and the Del Mar Loop is gearing up for its 2nd annual festival for local weed enthusiasts. The 420 Street Fest runs from 11 to 7 tomorrow along Del Mar Boulevard, featuring live music, painting, and vendors. The Gateway Arch Grounds is going to the dogs tomorrow. Pet owners can bring their dogs. You can bring Maple to the park's North Gateway for Arch Bark. There are lots of pet-centric activities, including a 1-mile walk, behavior training, and doggy yoga. Arch Bark goes from 10 to 1 tomorrow. Also this weekend, a fun way to help save the planet. At St. Louis's Earth Day Festival, you can learn more about sustainability in your community, all while enjoying local bites and live music. You can check it out in beautiful Forest Park from 11 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. And finally, if you have a Swiftie in your life, odds are they had their wildest dreams granted overnight. Taylor Swift released her new double album, The Tortured Poets Department, showing fans she'll never go out of style. Okay, our producers all day have gone overboard with these titles. To celebrate, The Wheel is offering a special Taylor-themed trip on Gondola 13, which is her lucky number, during their daylight and nighttime hours. It'll even play music from her new album throughout the ride, and you can ride the bejeweled gondola now through Sunday.
We are going to go undercover because I have not seen my book actually in a Target store.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama paid a low-key visit, very low-key, in South County to Target. She was in town this week for a conference, and she decided to check out her new book on display. And the former First Lady even signed 6 copies, which are now all gone. Thanks so much for joining us at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next. Be sure to start your day with Today in St. Louis at 6 a.m. Have a great night.